Hello and welcome to School Life Unpacked, the podcast where we talk about all things school. Real challenges parents face, what the research says, and practical tips that actually work. I'm Natasha Curtis-Ego, and today we're diving into a question that's been coming up a lot. Is my child falling behind? If that question has been buzzing around your mind, maybe after a tricky parents' evening or a comment from another parent, or when homework ends in tears, you are definitely not alone. Since COVID, school life has changed in many ways, and we're still trying to understand it. So today we're going to look at what behind really means, what the data actually says about primary school kids in the UK, what works when it comes to tutoring and catch-up support, and how you as parents can make calm, informed decisions without the panic. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's unpack this together. Let's start with something simple but crucial, showing up. Because if children aren't in school, catching up becomes much harder. So where are we right now? Well, in early 2025, absent rates in primary schools sat around 5.8%. That's better than a few years ago, but still higher than we'd like. And about 1 in 6 primary school children are persistently absent, meaning they've missed 10% or more of school. For children on pupil premium, often those from more disadvantaged backgrounds, absence is roughly double that. So yes, things are improving since the pandemic, but lots of children are still missing much too much learning time. In terms of progress, what does this mean? Well, research from the NFER, that's the National Foundation for Educational Research, has showed that on average, primary school children are about 3 to 6 months behind in reading and maths compared to pre-COVID trends. But here's the thing, that average hides a really mixed picture. Some children bounce back quickly, others are still finding their feet. The difference between schools, regions, and even classrooms are much bigger than ever. So falling behind isn't a simple one-size-fits-all kind of story. What does behind actually look like in everyday life? Maybe your child keeps saying, I don't get the fractions, while their classmates seem to be flying through them. Or maybe they're reading but can't quite explain what's going on in the story. Maths homework starts ending in tears, they get moved to a different group in class, maybe a catch-up group. Does any of this sound familiar to you? These are all the signals, but they don't automatically mean something is seriously wrong because kids learn in spurts. Some things click later than others. The key is persistence. If a struggle keeps popping up for weeks or months, that's your cue to dig deeper. And when school reports say below expected, as parents, it's okay to ask questions. We need to ask questions like, what specific skills are we talking about? What is the plan to help? How will we know if it's working? These kind of questions add clarity and they turn worry from worry into a plan, which then is so empowering. Now let's talk about tutoring for a moment because, whoa, that has become such a big business lately. Around 1 in 4 primary children have had some sort of private tutoring. The government's national tutoring program is still going too, mostly for kids who need a bit of extra support. And the good news is when tutoring is done well, that's in small groups, regular sessions, and linked closely to what's happening in class, it really can move the needle. We're talking as much as 3 to 5 months of progress in just a single term. But not all tutoring is equal. Huge groups, random topics, or untrained tutors are not so effective. For primary school children, the sweet spot is short, regular sessions, 1 or 2 times a week if possible, one-to-one or really small groups, and crucially working with what the class is already learning. That's when you see confidence bloom and skills actually stick. So what is good support and what does that look like inside UK primary schools? Let's break that down. Good support is in-school tutoring, short, focused sessions, ideally one-to-one or in a small group during the school day. Kids are already there, so attendance is easier and teachers can coordinate it all. Reading interventions, paired reading, reading buddies, or guided reading sessions. These help with fluency and comprehension. Vocabulary work, learning new words through play or conversation has a big impact too. Then there's maths mastery. Lots of schools now use mastery programs which focus on deep understanding rather than speed. Catch up here means zooming in on the specific gaps, like place value or times table, not just random worksheets. Then there's frequent check-ins, mini assessments every few weeks to see if the approach is actually working. Schools that do this will adapt fast when something isn't clicking. Attendance and routine, and honestly, none of this works if your child is not there. Good routines, regular bedtimes, school day rhythm, clear communication with teachers, all of these things make such a big difference. I'd love to take a moment to just look at some myths that are out there, because as we know, there is a lot of noise at the moment, and let's clear some of it so we can hear what's really going on. So the first myth I'd love to bust is, if your child is behind now, they'll never catch up. Not true. Children's brains are super flexible. With the right support, they can absolutely close gaps. Myth number 2, more tutoring always means more progress. I'm afraid this is not true as well. Quality beats quantity every time. Myth number 3, if school is doing something, I need to do more. This is one of those tricky ones. Sometimes the school's plan is enough, especially if it's structured and evidence-based. Myth number 4, expensive tutors are better. I'm afraid no. Price doesn't equal effectiveness. The best tutors are the ones aligned with the school's teaching style. And let's not forget self-esteem. Extra help can feel so awkward for kids, so it's important for us to frame it positively. You're not fixing them, you're helping them to grow. Let's get practical for a moment. Here is a rough roadmap that may help you if you feel your child is falling behind slightly. So step 1 would be to talk to the teacher. Ask what your child's current focus areas are, how progress is being tracked, and how you can help at home. Step 2 is to observe. Watch what your child finds tricky or avoids. This is useful data. Step 3, try small steps first. 10 minutes of reading together aloud, chatting about a story, quick maths games or mental maths challenges. Keep it light and fun. Step 4, revisit in 6 to 8 weeks. If things haven't shifted, then look at tutoring, short, focused, and aligned with school. Step 5, keep checking in. Progress isn't linear, so adjust the plan as needed. Step 6, prioritize attendance, consistent routines, early communication if issues arise. Step 7, protect well-being. Praise the effort, not the perfection. Encourage breaks. Learning should feel joyful and not pressured. So if we were to have a look at this whole episode as a whole and look at what we have discussed, we can see that attendance is improving, but it's still patchy. Learning gaps exist, but they're closing. And as parents, the goal is not to panic. It is to stay connected, curious, and proactive. Your concern doesn't mean failure, it means that you care, and that is your biggest asset. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of School Life Unpacked. Please don't forget to follow and like, and if you want to get in touch, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope you join us next week.